Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Green. Thank you for joining us for streamlining your Domino upgrade process with Larry Barker, our technical director here in the Asia Pacific office. So, as you know, Teamstudio, we're based out of Boston in the U.S. We also have an office in the U.K. And for Asia Pacific, we run things from Tokyo. We cover Australia, Hong Kong, New Zealand, and other Asian Pacific countries from Tokyo. You're familiar with a lot of our customers for APAC, including Sony, BASF, and the Australian government departments. You're familiar with our core 4 tools and tools we've used for Lotus Notes and Domino development over the last 10 years. Today we're going to talk some about specifically upgrading your Domino and Lotus Notes environments from be they 6 or 7 up to 8, and then we also have Domino 9, the social edition, coming out in the next couple of months. So we're going to talk about upgrading your Domino environment and how we can best streamline this process and make the process as efficient and as easy as possible. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Larry Barker, our technical director, and Larry's going to show us a demo of some of the solutions.
Hi, good morning, Ben. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. As Ben has mentioned, we are going to look at a few of the Teamstudio solutions that are available to help you streamline your upgrade processes. As well, we'll have a quick look at a partner tool that can help fill out a catalog of what applications you want to concentrate on during your upgrade. We'll look at solutions around being able to identify an asset analysis so we can go out and examine, for example, the design of your applications. We'll look for any incompatibility issues between the different versions of Domino, analyze your group of applications or core applications, and generate a report of that, which will help assist in streamlining and isolating any kind of design-related issues that you might see during an upgrade. As well, we'll look at a few tools that you can use to help kind of retrofit and make any design changes to any applications where you're going to have to go out and make some changes in order to become compatible with the next version of Domino. So we'll have a quick look as well at an application called Delta, where you can go out and you can compare things such as maybe customized templates. If you're one of those Notes Domino houses where perhaps you've customized your mail templates as an example, you can go out and look at differences between the base template that came, for example, with your installed version of Domino versus your actual production version of the template. If you haven't tracked all your changes and kept track of all that, you can quickly identify the differences between your production version template and the actual template, bring out those changes, and then introduce them into the new mail template within Domino that you'll be upgrading to. And finally, we'll look at Configurator, which is now integrated into Domino Designer, that you can then go and also use to kind of go out and retrofit and make mass changes against text across multiple applications, all from within the Designer clients, and of course generate reports on what was replaced and changed. So there are differences between that search and replace tool and something native you would see within Domino or within Domino Designer search functionality. So I am just going to share my desktop, so just give me one moment, and hopefully you'll all be able to see my Notes client. Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about and look at is we are currently a partner of a company called Ytria. Now, Ytria makes several highly useful applications, one of which is Database Easy. Now, when you're going and doing your upgrade, of course, you're going to become familiar with things such as your infrastructure of the kind of Domino client versions that you have within your environment. You're going to be aware of the hardware, you're going to be aware of the client settings or client versions. But what we're going to look at during this webinar are things oriented around the applications and application compatibility. Now, Database Easy allows you to go out and kind of build a catalog and identify all the applications that are on a particular server, and you can go out and look at the properties or the database properties of those applications. You can change properties of some of those applications and so forth prior to your upgrade to help smooth things out. Now, the kinds of things that you might want to look for example, during an upgrade, what we can do is we can go out and we can select all of the applications and templates that we have on our particular server. We can filter out and say maybe we only want to look at our databases or our template designs. If you are in those Domino house where you're using template inheritance quite extensively, you can of course highlight just your templates. Point being, you can filter out and target specifically what applications you want to go out and look at to help to start to build a catalog of what applications you actually need to examine or look at in order to determine what could be affected by your upgrade. You know, if you have a lot of different inheritance in place, you can look at database properties, for example, such as where all of those applications are inheriting from. So basically, all of these properties along the right-hand side here within Database Easy, you can add into the central UI and then build and organize a report based on those properties. So in this case, if we want to look at something, for example, inherit from property, we can go and we can apply that. And we can then see that this will now show up within the UI, and it will allow us to very quickly look at every single application across our server, go out and see where all of those applications are inheriting from, okay? And what that will tell us is then where we need to concentrate on to look at for our application upgrades. So if we have a lot of different templates, or we have a number of databases inheriting from one template, of course we can concentrate on running an asset analysis or an incompatibility test against specific templates that are inheriting from multiple applications. So this is one aspect that you can, where you can use this in conjunction maybe with your catalog, if you're using that to build a list of applications that you are targeting when you go out and want to start looking at your upgrades in relation to application design and where you need to concentrate your development resources first. Now, another thing you might want to look at, because there is a property that you can, of course, exclude from the catalog. So some people will like to use your catalog to help build a list of applications that you need to go look at. But that property as well is highlighted within the UI, so you can very quickly organize based on that property. You can look at things where maybe replication has been temporarily disabled. You know, all of these different kinds of properties that you want to go out and examine and quickly know if a certain issue is going to arise when you go and later on go and do your upgrade, if certain things have been in place that you should have changed beforehand. Another one you might want to look at is ODS version. If you're not well aware of the different levels or ODS versions of the applications that are on your server, you can very quickly go and organize by ODS, for example, and you can very quickly learn what levels of ODS are applicable in your environment on that specific server. So we can see we've got a number of ones that go right back to R4. Some are already at 8.5. So if you're going to upgrade your ODS after as well upgrading your server, that might be something that you want to include in your kind of pre-upgrade audit, just so you're aware of your situation prior to going and doing your upgrade. Now, as well as being able to organize and look at all the properties and kind of target specific issues or target specific instances that might exist in your environment that you might want to help relieve or fix prior to your upgrade, Database Easy can also go and modify several of those database properties. So if you determine that you have a number of applications all inheriting from a specific template, for example, you can select a group of applications and you can very quickly go and modify any of those design-based properties, basic properties, you know, all of those kinds of those 5 tabs that you'll see when you do properties on an application within Domino client or Node's client, you can modify with Database Easy. So we can very quickly go out, look at our design tab, and we can go and say, okay, we want to go and change the inherit from property, so we want to make it a template or whatever. You can go and make those changes and then apply those across a group of applications all hosted on that one specific server. So it allows some mass change as well as being able to identify all the properties and organize those into sensible reports to help you kind of round out your catalog of applications you're going to look at when you go and do your eventual upgrade. Okay. Now, once you have a list of applications kind of available, maybe you're looking at things as well as usage patterns of applications, you know, actual applications that are being utilized by your user base. There are solutions out there that you can go and do that to help you kind of target what applications you need to go and look at. But one of the things that we have available as well is Analyzer, which if you're not familiar with, Analyzer will allow you to build a searchable database that will go and look at all of your design elements within your notes database or within your template and build a note searchable database of all of the attributes, the code, all of the components that make up that application. Now, because we are going to document the design of that application, not only can we go and search through that, but we can also run audits against that. So if you have specific properties or instances of code that you want to go and look at and create a filter for, you can then script Analyzer, go out and run that across an entire server looking for specific instances. Now, to save you some of this trouble, what Teamstudio has created is that we also have what we call our upgrade filters. Now, upgrade filters work in conjunction with Teamstudio Analyzer, and what that will allow you to do is to go out and target and look at specific paths. If you're going from node 6.5, you're going from node 7 to 8.5, whatever path you're looking at, you can go and you can look at specific issues that might arise between those different versions of Domino. So we can go and look at things such as type of element issues that might occur. We also classify our filters or queries based on severity levels. So specific upgrade issues that might arise for one version of Domino might not be as critical for other versions of Domino. So all depending on what it is you want to go and look at, we have about a couple hundred filters created that will then allow you to target specific issues between different versions of Domino and then go and run those against all of your documented design that we captured with Analyzer. So I'm going to give you a quick demo of the product and how you can utilize this to build a report that you can then use to go and target what applications you want to make changes against or where you should look first during your upgrade. So here we can see we've got all of those different paths covered up to 8.5. So if you are going from an earlier version, you can simply select the group of filters that attribute to your path, and then you can go and identify specific issues that might exist. So Analyzer is located over here. Once you have an application you're interested in looking at, you can simply select the application. You select Analyzer, and now it will bring up the UI. Now with Analyzer, you can either just go and document your application, or you can include the upgrade filters as well within that and go and look for upgrade specific issues. So those paths that I showed you earlier, we can very quickly say, okay, we want to look at a specific path. Maybe you want to run all of the filters and just identify anything. I'm sure you might be at level 8.5 in your Domino versions, but that doesn't mean that you may not have missed issues that could have arisen from earlier upgrades. Maybe your developers didn't catch the issues, so a lot of times you might want to just run everything and see what actually gets flagged. So I'm going to select to run everything against this application, and what we can then do is say, okay, we want to run an analysis, and what Analyzer will do, it will go out, it will capture all of the design attributes about your application. It will then go and run all of those filters or those queries and those issues that have been identified against the design of your application and create a report based on that. Now, a few of the other things that you can also do, I'll mention about filters while this runs, is that you can also create custom filters. So if you have things specific to your upgrade that you want to go out and audit and analyze, you can of course create your own filters or custom filters to go out and look at those specific issues across the design of your application or across all of the designs of the applications on your entire server, for example. So here you'll see that we've now created an analysis of that sample CRM application, and we now have a design note or a data note representing each element and its attributes within the design of that application. So we can look at and say, okay, well, we've got a number of forms perhaps within that application. Maybe we've got a company details form. Well, in that company details form, of course, we've got also all the different kind of element types that might exist on a form element. We can go and we can look at the relationship between the elements. So we can say, okay, well, we might look at a specific element type. We can go and look at all of the attributes that are specific to that element that have been set. We can also maybe look at, for example, we have our company form or our company details form. We can see all of the element or the form properties of that element. We can see all of the code, all of the fields that are contained on that element. All the Lotus scripts, for example, everything contained within a Notes application documenting the design of that application. If we see something specific we want to go and change, we can go and open that element within Designer. But because we now have this all documented, we can, of course, audit everything that is contained within that analysis database. We have a number of views we've included over here that will allow you to kind of look at the relationship between your applications or look for specific relationships between your elements. So if you want to go and look at maybe dependencies or references are used between the different elements, you can go and do that. If you want to look at a specific kind of code between your applications, you can of course go and look at all that as well. Okay, so that's all contained within our documentation. Now the thing in relation to upgrades is because we have all that documentation, we can now go and look at any filters that may have been triggered as a result of looking at the design of that application. Okay, so we've got a number of different filters that could have been triggered, and maybe I'll look at by filter. So here we can see, as an example, we've got a number of reserved keywords that have shown up as possible errors. So you might want to go and look at specific application issues that could arise from that. Reserved keywords are a common one. We've got some other design-related ones reduced or to do with calendar control, paint time, some from ones, and that sort of thing. So depending on what's found, the point being is that all of these different filters that were triggered, we can then open up, and I'll pick one. Maybe we'll look at form one. We can open up the instance that was triggered, and we can say, okay, we have a doc link going to the filter that was triggered, so I can open up that filter. And what will happen is we have a description of the issue that was found, okay, and why. And a lot of times in the comment field, we might have something like an IBM tech note link, or we'll have a description of why that filter could be an issue to your particular upgrade. Of course, once it goes out and finds these issues, you then want to triage it and look and see if it actually is relevant to your upgrade. But what it will do is give you a link to possible issues across your application, and it will actually give you a link to the element within the analysis database as well, so you then go and investigate the issue that was then found. So we can come back here and we can look at, if it's maybe something related to our formula or our Lotus script. We can come back here, look at the element, and determine if that is an actual upgrade issue that we should be concerned with and go and look at. So this will allow us to go out to document our applications and then throw filters against those looking for particular issues. Now I've just done one application here, and I did mention you can do an entire server. So Configurator and Analyzer both are able to be controlled by an API. So we have example agents that you can actually obtain that will allow you to target your server and then run that audit across your entire environment, for example, if you want to go and do that. Highly, reducing the amount of time that it takes to do your upgrade, because you can target the areas that you need to look at first, as well as knowing where to have your developers go and look, because it can take a significant amount of time to go out and try and find those kinds of issues manually across the designs of your applications. Now, once you've looked at some of the areas and you've identified where perhaps you want to go and look at and make changes to, maybe you're already aware, you don't need to go and do an audit to know exactly right away the kinds of things you might need to do. One of those areas might be, for example, template customizations. Now, earlier I mentioned some people might have mail templates that they've customized. Maybe they've done it in production on the fly. They're not quite sure what differences are going to exist between those customized templates and the base templates. So when, of course, during an upgrade, this could be an issue. Now, we have a tool that you can go and look at differences between the design of different applications. We call this Delta, and what Delta will allow you to do is to compare two different templates or two different applications, either on the design level or on the data level. And of course, we're doing an upgrade, so we want to look at maybe the design level. Once we go and do that, what we can do is we can compare the two different applications. In this case, I'm going to compare the customized mail template available from OpenNTF and a base 8.5 mail template. If we go and compare those two, we get a side-by-side comparison of differences that might or do exist between those two different designs. So as I expand my comparison here, you'll see that we have a number of different things occurring. So we can say, okay, we've got different attributes, so we've got X's that will identify differences between specific elements. All of the elements will be aligned with one another, so we can say, okay, we want to look at differences exist between dollar body and where all that. You can look at things, for example, unique notes that might exist. So if you have a customized template, you can very quickly see, for example, where you might have forms or might have different kinds of element types that exist in one application, which is showing up in one template, and another one that exists only on one of the modified applications, which is on the Mail Experience NTF template, only exists on the right. So this will tell you very quickly what differences might exist between those different applications. Now, of course, this doesn't only apply to the elements, but you can also look at code differences, for example. So if we go and we look at maybe look at our script libraries or script, we can find a number of different things we can go and look at. So we're showing differences, maybe script library. And if we open up script as an example, we can see very quickly that the same kind of blue and green UI kind of comparison that we have going on in the element comparison also occurs in the code comparison. So here we have some code that might exist on the left-hand side that doesn't exist on the script lib on the right-hand side. So we can go and compare all of our code between the different templates as well that might be attached to your application. So not only differences in design, but also in code, you can go and compare. And what you can also do is retrofit on the fly. And what I mean by that is once we go and find our differences between our applications, we might say, okay, well, we actually want to merge differences or merge elements from one side to the other. So we might say, okay, well, this element here, we actually want to retrofit that into our new template or into our existing template. What you can do is you can select different elements and you can say, okay, let's merge this left. And what will typically happen is you'll be able to move that over and retrofit that onto the right-hand side, and that will be merged into the design of your application. I think I've got a problem with my Windows XP workstation here, so let's have a quick look at one of our forms maybe. Yeah, I've obviously have a problem with my desktop, but what you can typically do is you can merge that over to the left-hand side, merge stuff over to the right, retrofit those applications quite quickly between differences that you have found. You can also compare different element types. So if we have a number of different elements we want to actually go and compare, you can select the different applications or the different elements within your application and look at differences between those. You can match or force align them. And this will kind of help you to go and compare all of the differences that exist between those applications. So if you have customized templates, of course, you can very quickly go out, look at the differences, and then try and retrofit that into the new templates that you're trying to roll out into the upgraded environment. Okay. A final tool that we're going to look at is if you need to go out and make mass changes against any text that are within the design of your application. Now, you may be familiar with Configurator. One of our recent upgrades to the product, basically Configurator is a search and replace tool. We've now integrated that into Domino Designer so that if you want to go out and do a mass search and replace against text within your applications, you can do that directly from within Domino Designer as a complement within the Eclipse environment now. And all you need to do is you open up any application in Designer that you want to go and look at doing a search and replace against. And typically people use this go and start Configurator from up here. Well, it's now built into the environment, so it's now available from the search tabs. So if we come in here, you're going to see that we now have a Configurator tab. And what you can do is you can search based on whole words, accents. In this example, I'll do a quick search on maybe a regular expression. So if you're doing an upgrade, maybe you're moving servers, maybe you're moving new hardware at the same time, you can do pattern-based searches looking for things such as hard-coded maybe server names. In this case, it's a hard-coded IP address. So you can look for any IP address that's been hard-coded, for example, into the design of any of your applications across an entire server. Again, because Configurator can be scripted as well, so you can control it from a custom app, and then go and perform a search and replace against whatever it is you want to go and target. I can then say, okay, I want to search for something like an IP address pattern. If you want to replace it with anything, in this case, we're going to go and look for it. You can say, okay, maybe I want to look at all my applications on my entire workspace. Well, I can very quickly go perform a search against that, and it will then build a list of any applications that contain an IP address, in this case, that has been hard-coded into the design of that application. Now, as that runs, you can of course do other things. So if you're replacing keywords or you're looking for specific instances of any text, you can go and use a tool to go and target those, and then step through each of the sessions that it finds, or each of the existences that it finds of that search term that you're going and looking for. So here we can see that we've got a couple things where that's been set up. If I maybe those settings, we can very quickly see that it has indeed gone and found, an IP address in this case. Probably just in a comment, no big deal. So we can skip that, we can skip and go to the next one, or we can actually go and replace the instance with whatever it is that we wanted to replace what we were searching for. So it doesn't have to be an IP address, of course, but we can very quickly see where that exists on the element that it's been targeted, and then go and replace that if we need, or we can say replace, and we can go and skip that note and go and look for the next one. Okay, so depending on exactly where it is you want to go and look, in the instances, it'll get highlighted, saying, okay, this is where we found this within the design of your application. Do you want to replace it, yes or no? Now, of course, you can also go and run that traditionally from the Teamstudio Configurator UI. And one of the benefits of the tool that I'll mention now, above and beyond just the inbuilt search capabilities within Domino Designer, is you also have the ability to audit or to log any changes that you make. So if you're going to do a search replace with the native functionality within Designer, of course it doesn't do that. With Configurator, you can go and build a report of all the changes that have been applied, and of course that's going to be very important in situations where you're tracking your changes, because if it's one thing you're going to want to track, it's an automated search and replace or a mass search and replace that you're doing. So you can generate a report based on that. If Configurator comes across any instances where the replacement that you're doing doesn't make sense, if you're affecting, for example, formula, that doesn't make sense, it doesn't compile properly, what's going to happen is Configurator will skip that change and log an error into the log, and it won't go and perform that change. So it's quite a safe tool to go and perform with, and it's also an auditable tool to go and perform mass change with, because it does build that historic log. So that's pretty much it for the 4 tools that we wanted to look at. Again, there's a kind of a quick example of some of the kind of searches and the comparisons and the auditing that you can do with the tool set. But of course, depending on the context and what it is that you want to go and perform your upgrade for, there are a number of different scenarios that can apply. So if there are specific instances and you have questions that you want to pass across us, do let us know, and we'll be happy to let you know if any of our tools or our partner solutions that could help you will indeed help you in certain areas of your upgrade. I mentioned earlier, I did mention that, one of the things that you might be doing as part of your upgrade is being aware of your client environment. If you're also upgrading all of your clients, there are partner solutions as well that we can help you with, that will be able to audit everything from the hardware that's on all of your client PCs, to the notes versions, to controlling the icons on the workspaces, that it will allow you to go out and automate the upgrade of even your clients and do a knowledgeable upgrade on that side, so it can help out quite extensively. So depending on what aspect of your upgrade that you need assistance with, do let us know, and we'll be happy to assist. Now, I'm just going to pass this back over to Ben, as he has a few more things that he'd like to offer to you. And thank you very much for your time. I'll just give you one moment.
And Larry, thanks once again for that presentation, and we're just checking for questions right now. And if you do have any additional questions, please go ahead and send them in. Okay. And so the one question that we have gotten here is around our Notes 9 filters, and we are actually working on the Notes 9 filters for right now. Should have those finished in the next couple of months. But quite honestly, the 8.5 filters that Larry went through cover actually a lot of the problems, and we can sit down with you individually and talk about the additional filters that will need to be added for upgrading to Notes 9. But that is something we're working on, and we'll have that out in the next few months. As part of the event today, we do appreciate your time, and we want to give you a little something back. And so, as part of Domino upgrades, we're going to provide we're providing a Domino upgrade pack for you all right now until the end of June of this year. We're going to be giving 30% off of Teamstudio licenses for Analyzer, upgrade filters, Configurator, Delta, and Undo for any of you all that may make changes and need to roll back to the previous versions if you make mistakes sometimes. And so, yeah, for Analyzer, upgrade filters, Configurator, Delta, and Undo, we're going to be giving that for 30% off until June 30th. In addition, as Larry mentioned, we have a number of partner solutions that we're very happy to be able to provide, and Whitetree is one of them. Larry went over a couple of the solutions with Whitetree, but we're also going to be able to offer 15% off all Whitetree tools until the end of June. That's a very special offer that we can make right now until the end of June, so we're happy to get you information on that. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to send us an email at contact@teamstudio.com or reach out to Margaret, Margaret_Kylar@teamstudio.com, and we can get you information on these offers and on different solutions as quickly as possible. And last but not least, thank you all for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.